The story begins by introducing the game Aether World, a title shining brightly, setting the stage for the adventure. Released a decade ago, the game was originally a dating simulator aimed at a female audience. Despite this, it surprisingly attracted more male players over time. Players could engage with a wide array of characters, ranging from easy and highly capable to challenging yet less efficient ones, offering a breadth of experiences. Among these characters, there was one infamous for his difficulty and poor attributes, often referred to as a trash character. A detail emerges about a peculiar player who devotedly played as Bak Yusil for 10 straight years, an unusual choice given the character's reputation. A male character appears, contemplating the game and preparing to begin what seems to be a familiar routine. The same male reveals his identity as Bak Yusil, the dedicated player who has mastered his craft over an entire decade. Scanning the forum, new posts suggest something significant might be happening in the game, hinting at possible updates. Bak Yusil muses over the news of a final boss being introduced in a dating sim, an unexpected twist since these games typically conclude with a romance. A post from a famous ranker describes the boss as unbeatable, a creature with high magic resistance sparking Bak Yusil's curiosity. As he considers the concept of a final boss, he grows thoughtful, holding a coffee cup, pondering the strange development. Bak Yusil contemplates the game mechanics, questioning the existence of a magic-nullifying monster and considering rumors of character deletions. His realization sharpens as the daunting Dark Demon Dragon, the 13th moon of the Black Knight, is revealed in the game. The narrative expands to Ether World, where a cult known as Dark Demonic Humans lurks, setting the scene for a darker tale. These Dark Demonic Humans aim to assist an entity called Persona Gate in conquering the world pursued through mysterious means. Their success in achieving this goal summons forth the formidable Dark Demon Dragon, escalating threats in the game world. Bak Yusil states that 90% of the continent is now under Persona Gate's control. He contemplates his previous focus on PvP, realizing the game lore has become chaotic. Despite the overwhelming odds, Bak Yusil calmly decides he has no choice but to confront the challenge, ready to attempt the seemingly impossible task. He resolves to demonstrate the skills he has meticulously honed over the years, confidently preparing for the battle ahead. Delving into his character, Bak Yusil acknowledges his unique position as the only character unable to wield magic in the game. This lack of magic makes him unpopular among players, as everyone else enjoys magical abilities. His rarity comes from his challenging gameplay. Bak Yusil's character is described as even less impactful than a minor extra, highlighting his underdog status. Nonetheless, this character can wield a single magic ability, offering a glimmer of potential amid his limitations. The ability in question is the Blink spell, allowing for swift relocation with tactical advantage during combat. Bak Yusil's Blink spell is impressive, aligning with the colossal presence of the Dark Demon Dragon. The spell permits him to teleport quickly over short distances, ranging from 3 to 10 meters, enhancing his agility. The risk lies in the randomness of the direction and distance, risking fatal impacts without careful control, challenging the user. Compounding this, the spell's cooldown and mana consumption are burdensome, with a 2-second immobilization penalty after use, deterring most players. Yet Bak Yusil has mastered Blink, controlling both direction and distance, nullifying the penalties, thus redefining his character's capabilities. Remarkably, he circumvents mana issues since his character lacks a mana stat, elevating Blink from a mere movement trick to a formidable strategic tool. The character became engrossed with a particular character in a game, attributing everything to their skill level. Over the past decade, they've been consistently playing the only character in the game that battles without magic. He appears, and it is declared that he has defeated the final boss, known as the 13th Moon of the Black Knight. He questions whether he actually defeated it, expressing surprise and disbelief at the event. Reflecting on his status, he acknowledges his character is equipped with top-tier items, yet still regards it as terrible. Satisfied, he types on the keyboard, acknowledging his achievement with a simple remark. Planning to boast to the community about the defeat of the Dark Demon Dragon, he aims to share the news online. Suddenly, a message appears, stating the wrong ending caused 90% of Etherworld's destruction, leaving him bewildered. Although he was close to achieving the true ending, confusion and shock take over as he processes the information. A plea urges him to reach the true ending, and he reacts with astonishment and urgency. Confused about his surroundings, he finds himself in an unfamiliar place and wonders about his location. Spotting a mirror, he questions what he sees and contemplates what it might mean. Upon examining his reflection, he realizes he has assumed the appearance of Bak Yusil. Kneeling in the dim room, awareness dawns with the introduction of Episode 1, titled Escape the Chase. Recognizing this as Bak Yusil's prologue quest, everything begins to make sense. He discovers the entrance certificate to Stella Academy in hand, a vital clue to his situation. Although challenging to accept, he starts to piece together the reality he now inhabits. He understands he is indeed in either world and accepts the role of Bak Yusil. He rationalizes his position, recalling a voice that urged him to reach the true ending. However, based on his knowledge, the game doesn't typically have one definitive ending, only various possibilities. Could it be that a true ending exists? He speculates with a mixture of doubt and intrigue. Realizing no one has achieved the true ending in a decade, he feels a rush of responsibility. Despite the mystery, he resolves that now is not the time for speculation. Action is needed. Recalling past experiences, he hopes to leverage his knowledge to navigate these challenges. He remembers that after Bak Yusil's awakening, specific events unfold. Reminded of the pursuers hot on his trail, he knows they will soon invade the hut. A sense of urgency grips him as he realizes his pursuers are already converging on his location. The pursuers spot the hut amidst the snow, their path deliberately marked towards him. Orders are quickly exchanged to search the hut, and he wonders about his next move. Understanding there's only so long he can evade his pursuers, he contemplates his limited options. The scene shows a clenched fist, conveying determination mingled with a sense of helplessness, as the thought of not being able to fight them persists in the character's mind. Despite the resolve, there's an underlying frustration. Mayusio stands in a dimly lit room with the revelation that he can use the skill Blink. The shock at the realization is evident as he processes the unexpected ability he now possesses. The narrative describes Bak Yusil's struggle with magic leakage syndrome, marking him incapable of accumulating mana. Yet, amid this plight, there's a glimmer of hope through one potential skill. With a back turned encircled by an aura, this signifies a faint but pivotal opportunity. Snow falls gently against a backdrop of mountains as a reflection on the spell that has been a lifelong pursuit. As the present moment draws near, there's an implied transition from past to present challenges. Mayusio examines a digital screen displaying the skill Blink with details on class, distance, and cooldown. This is a moment of contemplation and understanding about the newfound power he must wield. Mayusio reflects on the dilemma of using Blink now, comparing it to a past experience in gaming where he had control through external devices. This inner monologue reveals his uncertainty about employing a real-world skill influenced by digital strategies. Urgency fills the air as Mayusio realizes that his pursuers have arrived. The immediate danger underscores the need for decisive action, prompting him to think quickly while feeling cornered. With tension rising, there's no time left for hesitation. The situation demands immediate reaction, leaving no room for doubt amidst the escalating predicament. A single resolution emerges as Mayusio decides that trying is the only option available. Despite the overwhelming odds, he resolves himself to act. A chase ensues as someone spots and begins pursuing Mayusio. The imperative to chase and seize him echoes through the air, intensifying the urgency of the situation. The pursuit continues in a snowy forest with commands to prevent escape. Mayusio races ahead, while the pursuit hints at a crucial phase of a tutorial being underway. Instructions emphasize the need to evade the pursuers using Blink. This tactical advice underscores the necessity of the skill in eluding capture through the snow-covered landscape. Reflecting on his situation, Mayusio acknowledges that his pursuers, equipped with magic boots, are naturally faster. This realization solidifies his understanding that Blink is essential for outpacing them successfully. In the midst of the chase, Mayusio tells himself to remain calm, recalling the countless times he has used Blink before. This moment fosters confidence in his ability to utilize this skill effectively. Concentration deepens as Mayusio recalls that the timing for Blink is ingrained in his muscle memory. This memory serves as a foundation for ensuring precise execution. Frustration from the pursuers mounts as they question Mayusio's relentless escape. The pursuit's tension continues to build amidst their failed attempts to halt him. With the closeness of the chase, Mayusio acknowledges that his pursuers have caught up. The pressure mounts as every moment becomes critical in this race. A dark screen emphasizes the main disadvantage of Blink. This ominous message foreshadows potential consequences if used improperly, introducing an element of risk. If the user of Blink fails to control the necessary distance, there's a deadly risk of collision. This potential danger underscores the importance of precision. An assailant with the sword proclaims intentions to send Mayusio to hell as the command to attack intensifies. The threat of violence adds urgency to evade. Mayusio contemplates using Blink with a belief in its difference and potential. Preparedness for activation shines in his resolve. Observers question Blink's presence and identify Mayusio as a mage. Their revelations incite a flurry of assumptions about his capabilities. One leader assures others not to falter, reminding them that post-Blink paralysis occurs, providing an advantage. These misconceptions persist even when their quarry surprises them. Amid disbelief, they wonder at Mayusio's continuous movement post-blink, which contradicts their initial assumptions. Mayusio internally stresses the need for careful execution. Precision is paramount, guiding every strategic decision moving forward. The terrain, marked by uneven features, stands as a tool to Mayusio's potential advantage. This environmental feature offers tactical opportunities during the escape. There's an acknowledgement of other players who failed to learn control at this juncture, rendering progression impossible. The gravity of the challenge is highlighted as he moves swiftly. A stark statistic reveals a large failure rate in passing the tutorial with Bakyusio, except for a mere 1% in succeeding beyond glaring barriers. Observers question Mayusio's sanity in using blink across such treacherous terrain. The unpredictability of his actions feeds their confounded skepticism. The command is given for magic users to move to the front and attack from a distance. This strategy aims to capitalize on magical prowess in targeting Mayusio. A young male character wondered if others would try and use magic. The second part of the tutorial required using blink to dodge approaching magic arrows. He realized that in the game he could see everything behind like on a monitor, allowing him to dodge. Magic leakage syndrome was being used along with its derivative skills, sixth sense and cognitive acceleration. Powerful blink activated with an intense burst of energy. The young male felt relieved knowing how close the situation had been. He prepared for the next challenge, recognizing it as the last part. Breathing heavily, he anticipated the beginning of the tutorial's third part. He had to cross a canyon using blink to proceed. He understood that the key to crossing was controlling the blink's distance with perfection. Realizing he needed to cancel his blink spell in 0.1 seconds to succeed, he planned to join passing mages as the tutorial's end. He acknowledged the dire consequence of failing even once, where he would face death. Approximately 20 floating boulders were in his way. The challenge seemed more daunting as 0.1 seconds was much easier said than done. Frustration grew as he questioned the creator of such a difficult tutorial. Despite the difficulties, he considered the situation to be barely manageable. The young male identified the main problem directly in front. Another group noticed their presence and alerted others. His pursuers appeared closer than he initially anticipated. They were about 100 meters apart, and with a 3-second blink cooldown, it was not enough to make it across. His thoughts leaned towards the likeliest method for survival. He concluded that the only viable option was to kill them all. Despite thinking his plan was unwise, he recollected his inexperience in proper battles. He mused that if this were a game, attacking those pursuing him would be impossible, but this was reality. There was no rule forcing him to follow the game's system blindly. The thought of killing didn't bother him, knowing those people were enemies and understanding the reason was rooted in the storyline. As they arrived, he prepared himself for confrontation. He believed he could win. His pursuers identified him and shouted in recognition. They received orders to capture him immediately, responding affirmatively. A cloaked figure tauntingly questions the lone fighter's decision to challenge them all, calling it foolish. The young male, silent and resolute, faces impending danger and acknowledges the looming threat. He calculates the target distance at 8.7 meters and prepares an action using blink magic. The sensation of blood on his fingertips is clear, yet he remains emotionally detached and guiltless. In a swift move, he fights back, driven by the necessity to survive, justifying the act of killing. A group realizes the fighter is escaping, and urgency fills their voices as they attempt to pursue. The young male sprints away, determined not to let his pursuers catch up, pushing forward with effort. He mentally notes having defeated one, but anticipates the next challenge to be harder, pondering his strategy. Suspicion arises from the sudden silence. He wonders if they have ceased their pursuit. Realizing his mistake, he considers the possibility of magic being used against him again and plans to dodge it. Frustration with the spell's persistence overtakes him, as he questions the strength and difficulty of avoiding it. Observers remark on the fighter's overconfidence being his downfall, critiquing his actions from a distance. Realization hits as the pursuer notices the fighter is no longer in sight, expressing surprise at his unexpected disappearance. The fighter reflects on Blink's peculiar ability, recognizing the unique traits of the move that aid him. Understanding the momentum preservation of Blink, he considers its impact before and after usage. Confusion strikes as he experiences unexpected disorientation, questioning what has occurred during the maneuver. The remaining pursuers feel the absence of their comrades and note only 2 of them are still present. The young male realizes urgency is needed to finish the situation before reinforcements arrive from behind. Among the pursuers, one muses on the fighter's oddity and his impressive reaction speed, unusual for a mage. Alone, the fighter questions aloud his own identity, as if in response to the wonder of his opponents. His thoughts drift to the comparison with gamers, acknowledging his speed is exceptional in virtual scenarios. He acknowledges that continuously dodging their attacks at such proximity cannot be sustained indefinitely. Determined, he decides to conclude the fight swiftly before the tides potentially turn against him. One pursuer confidently boasts about understanding the fighter's combat technique, feeling clever in his assessment. The fighter contemplates his dependency on blink and a dagger, recognizing the predictability of his approach. The opponent plans a defense focused on protecting vital areas from the dagger, feeling secure in the strategy. An invitation to combat is thrown with an ice wave spell, daring the fighter to engage. Confidence radiates from the pursuer, certain of capturing and causing the fighter great discomfort. Annoyance creeps into the pursuer's voice as he reflects on the fighter's earlier timid actions compared to now. Standing firm, the young male acknowledges the past, less aggressive escape attempt, ready for the confrontation. The male character expresses gratitude for the help he received, acknowledging it improved his skills and shows determination in his eyes. An angry man faces him, calling him a brat for thinking they went easy in the past. The man issues a deadly threat, vowing to kill this time, his stance aggressive. The man prepares to attack, wondering about the risk of counterattacks and how his opponent might lure him into a defensive stance with strategic movements. In a heated clash, the man internally resolves not to let his opponent have his way, wielding his weapon with intent. As they battle closely, he contemplates making his move while the opponent is near, strategizing his next strike. During the fight, he questions whether his opponent's initial plan was a frontal attack from the beginning. The scene shifts to a game-like notification, indicating experience points gained and a unique reward for the story's development. Back to reality, the male character is reminded that what he's experiencing isn't a dream, grounding him to the moment. Memories of his first use of skills, his first battle, and first kill weigh heavily on him. He acknowledges having killed to survive, a somber realization that hangs over him. Standing on a snowy cliff, he decides to leave the harsh place for now, the cold winds swirling around. Although the aftermath is bitter, practical thoughts about his lack of money force him to strategize realistically. He discovers a pouch containing coins approximated to 2 million won, offering some relief as he reluctantly views it as better than nothing. Holding the pouch, he recognizes the immediate issue, the formidable terrain he must navigate. He stands before a daunting cliff, acknowledging that crossing it is necessary for his journey. He calls out for others, hoping for assistance or at least a sign of life in the desolate expanse. A voice directs him to another path, prompting him to recognize the group from the tutorial, and hope emerges. The group, clad in cloaks, is familiar as the tutorial's mage group, a site of potential allies or guides. The young man signals his location and asks about crossing routes, indicating no nearby bridge but conveying determination to cross. The group decides to wait for him, noting his intent to cross and showing a willingness to assist. The mages speculate whether the young boy is capable of crossing the cliff, given the challenge's difficulty for even skilled knights. Observing magic in action, the group wonders if the displayed skill is a jumping technique, intrigued by the visible power. One mage identifies the action as a blink, recognizing the technique with a mix of understanding and curiosity. Another doubts whether it's truly a blink, noting potential issues with controlling movement in such a technique. The male character performs an impressive move, contradicting expectations about the limitations of blinking. Two figures observe the scene, their thoughts fixed on the young man's daring maneuver. The young man questions their association, curiosity and caution present in his thoughts. Suddenly, a warning is shouted as a fiery danger approaches fast, urgency overtaking the scene. Reacting quickly, the young man executes a blink to dodge the impending threat, decisive and swift. The male character worries about potential danger, questioning if they are with the mercenary from before and feeling the situation is dangerous. He assesses his abilities, noting that the blink spell has a cooldown of 3 seconds, realizing he cannot dodge all magic. An urgency grips him as he searches for the next floating stone to use as a foothold. Panic sets in as he feels himself slipping, thinking he is going to fall. Frustrated, he notices the floating stones are out of reach, making his situation more precarious. Desperation fills him, hoping to land on just one stone. Relief washes over him as he finds himself surviving the ordeal. His relief is short-lived, seeing the situation worsen, perhaps with impending danger. A sense of doom overtakes him, convinced that he is going to die. Curiosity piques him about unexpected magic with dual attributes. Ice spear covered with lightning in the tutorial. Amazement and confusion swirl in his mind, wondering who could accurately execute such magic without wasting mana. As he hangs onto the cliff, he feels relieved, grateful to still be alive. Gratitude prompts him to thank a female character for the help she offered earlier. She dismisses his gratitude, saying she didn't help to gain thanks, and he accepts her words. He reflects on her voice, finding it beautiful, yet perceives her as difficult to approach. Turning his thoughts to the people he's dealing with, he seems unsettled. He recalls that they are known for raiding nearby villages, a recognition of their notoriety. In reality, he considers that most of these activities are orchestrated by the Dark Demon cult. He concludes that escaping the cliff means entering the territory of mages, where the dark demonic humans can't follow. He reasons that they don't know who he is, which is comfort in this chaotic world. Confused, he speculates whether this scenario is the second episode, considering it may not be challenging. A sense of anxiety strikes him as he grapples with the idea of attending school again at this age. A fond childhood memory surfaces where a young boy, Yusil, calls for his mom. His aspirations are shared with his mother, confidently saying he will become a mage and she believes in him. He holds a precious book, recognizing its value and the hard work his parents put into acquiring it. Determined and hopeful, the young Yusil commits to studying diligently, wanting to make his parents proud. Anxiety envelops his mother as she seeks answers from a doctor. The doctor shares unsettling news about Yusil having mana leakage syndrome, shocking the mother. Denial and disbelief overshadow Yusil as he struggles to accept this diagnosis. The narrator questions whether these are back Yusil's memories, leaving doubt in the air. A young boy stood under the rain, distressed and wiping his eyes, overwhelmed by memories that seemed foreign to him, making him cry out. As dawn broke over snow-covered mountains, a serene scene unfolded, signaling the beginning of a new day. Inside a carriage, a man noticed the boy awakening and casually remarked that he was about to wake him up, showing he was watching over the boy. The group was nearing Lezoecha, a satellite city connected to the main city of Arcane, their journey almost at its first pause. They decided to halt for a moment's rest, the group gathering around the carriage amidst a snowy landscape. The boy felt a shiver, acknowledging the cold air around him as he continued with the others. Another character pondered their unexpectedly smooth progress, relieved they weren't stuck in a medieval timeline, appreciating the modern conveniences around. The presence of magic in the Ether world was notable, yet it coexisted with advanced transport systems like trains, flying ships, and warp holes for safety and convenience. Flying ships were depicted, illustrating how they spanned great distances effortlessly, enhancing long-distance travel. The boy thought about reaching Lezoecha soon, with plans to board a flying ship there, making it sound like the next step was an adventure. Lezoecha itself lay en route to Arcanium, city of magic, where the real adventure and stories would unfold further. The narrative highlighted the prestigious nature of Arcanium, boasting renowned magic towers and 5 renowned academies, with Stella Academy at the top for powerful mages. Reflecting on Stella Academy, the boy wondered about Baek Yusol's admission, a genius surrounded by global talent and such an academic marvel. Realizing he hadn't evaluated his skills yet, the boy acknowledged a lapse, feeling a need to assess his abilities further. The boy reviewed his stats, revealing strengths and weaknesses within his mana leakage syndrome, contemplating the details. Observing his abilities, he considered the crucial role of sixth sense and detection acceleration, believing these saved his life so far. The scene depicted a haunting past linked to a cursed physique, preventing mana accumulation, deepening the mystery behind mana leakage syndrome. The intrinsic curse of Baek Yusil was such that it uniquely tied into his identity and powers, setting him apart from others. Despite the curse, the boy's sixth sense allowed him to detect nearby mana, even enabling awareness of impending threats in any direction. His detection acceleration let him perceive threats faster than normal, ensuring swift reactions beyond natural human limits. This skill, essential to Baek Yusil, was a double-edged sword, consuming significant mind power but vital, due to his inability to use mana long-term. Reviewing his stats more deeply, Baek saw potential growth areas, considering them quite satisfactory for initial progress. Comparing his current status with his past self, Baek recognized that his prior character's traits might have influenced his sensitivity stats. In the world system, stats were divided distinctly into measurable levels, each represented by stars and levels crucial for skill progression. Achieving the maximum star level of 9 was described as almost impossible, with Baek reflecting on years spent in game worlds. He decided to prioritize investments in sensitivity to enhance his sixth sense and reaction speed, planning the long-term gain. With adjustments made, Baek felt satisfied with the current stat allocation, ready to face the immediate challenges. The unresolved issue of mana leakage syndrome remained troubling. He needed improvement, seeking advances in mastering secrets of nature physique. The path to resolving his syndrome pointed towards Stella Academy, an inevitability he needed to embrace to safeguard his future. Feeling reluctant and wishing for assistance, Baek expressed his hesitance toward the journey ahead, lacking immediate solutions to his dilemma. A message appears, highlighting some missed notifications. The male character wonders about not having seen them before. The male character stands beside a wooden cart in a snowy setting, hearing the call to get moving. He acknowledges the call, agreeing to come along. He decides to check the notifications later, while gazing at a distant figure in a cloak. Inside a cozy cabin, an announcement informs passengers of their departure to Arcanium, urging them to be seated for safety. Observers in the cabin mockingly comment on the male character's apparent unfamiliarity, speculating about his rural background. The male character overhears disparaging remarks about peasants being allowed entry directed towards him. A group discusses the prestige of the academy, questioning the inclusion of less esteemed individuals like the male character. As the male character reflects on the constant behavior of kids, someone accuses him of sighing at them. The accuser's expression intensifies with frustration, referring to the male character in a derogatory manner. A Savanoid individual demands the male character stop, addressing him commandingly. Frustrated, the accuser questions the source of the loud commotion around them. Hearing the mention of Princess Bayan, the male character reacts with surprise. Hong Bayan, introduced as Princess of the Adulbit Kingdom, stands elegantly. More information reveals her role as a main character who frequently conflicts with the primary female protagonist, and she meets a tragic fate. The male character realizes her role as the villainess in this world. Narration explains that regardless of choices, her character faces brutal endings that often involve murder. In other scenarios, she endures bullying leading to expulsion, showcasing her unfortunate circumstances. In one instance, she experiences such humiliation she never appears publicly again, hinting at developers' ill intent towards her. As the male character walks, he recalls her popularity among male players despite the danger he feels when interacting with her. Feeling the need to eat, the male character contemplates his next step. Struggling with high costs, he decides to wait until reaching Arcanium to find food. Han Bayan herself makes an announcement, capturing attention with her presence. Meanwhile, Azel Moon quietly reads as the message announces their imminent arrival in Arcanium in 10 minutes. A female character reminds everyone to proceed to the first floor, reinforcing earlier instructions. The announcement repeats, detailing the remaining time to reach Arcanium and urging movement. The male character wonders if things are finally beginning, a hint of anticipation on his mind. Embracing his reality, he resolves to face what's coming with determination. With relief, he acknowledges addressing the matter at hand. Yet doubt lingers as he questions his ability to survive within the atmosphere of Stella Academy. The ominous presence of a fierce creature raises the stakes as the challenge of surviving in this world becomes apparent. A boy stood by a window, deep in thought, wishing for something to aid him in this situation. Remembering he left a notification unchecked, his eyes focused intently. A message appeared, offering a reward from the downgraded items, skills, and experience. Considering the system's ethics, the boy pondered which reward to choose. Debating between returning light or praise of the Flash, he faced a severe downgrade warning. The option for hyperspace blink was unavailable, but a slight enhancement was possible. The narrative power was lacking, preventing full materialization, and accumulation was possible with continued exploration. Concluding he couldn't have late-game items due to his newbie status. Questioning the availability of bulbul glasses, he sought answers in the system. The system verified the provision of bulbul glasses, and he decided to go with them. As he held the glasses, he reflected on not expecting to use them and their purpose of holding collected information. In Aetherworld, recalling or reading about monsters or knowledge was hard, leading players to create items like bulbul glasses. The boy recalled he too had participated in using such items. The bulbul glasses had features like bulbul folder and seal, consuming mind power for activation. Absorbed, he opened the bulbul folder. Browsing stored categories, he found the information satisfactory. Acknowledging the realness of the setting, he determined the glasses would help regain some abilities. A noise diverted his attention, noting someone identified as Azel. A passing conversation identified her as the traitorous daughter of Dutch Mulf. Azel, unfazed by whispers, continued her path, silently aware of the words. The boy realized he could register or check character information with the glasses. His thoughts on Azel, labeled a fake heroine, required further explanation. Although in a game called Aetherworld, he reflected on his unfamiliar surroundings. Aetherworld was based on a romance fantasy novel about Azel's tragic life. The story depicted her overcoming challenges and ultimately with the male protagonist. In the game, unlike the novel, her revenge and protective arcs shifted, leading to its sad ending. An original character, Flame, replaced Azel's role in the game. Thus, Azel became the fake heroine, while Flame took the real heroine's place. Despite player efforts, Azel was unable to win in any game routes, losing her position. He resolved that, regardless of the situation, it bore no personal significance to him. In a grand hall, a man pondered if it was just his imagination as he observed a familiar woman, Azel Malf, from a distance, casting a contemplative gaze upon her. As Azel Malf walked through the elegantly decorated space, a thought lingered in the man's mind. He felt as though he had seen her somewhere before. The man concluded that it must have been his imagination, deciding to focus, thinking he should get ready to hop off soon. The scene shifted to an impressive view of Stella Academy, an institution renowned for its magnificent architecture and sprawling campus. A figure, partially in shadow, began to address an audience, stating they were already aware of certain important information. This figure, clad in traditional robes, spoke gravely about dark demonic humans who embraced otherworldly powers, continuing their invasion by opening ancient doors. Among the audience, two students whispered to each other about how tedious the opening speech was, finding it a boring way to begin the semester. The speaker announced the next item, an oath ceremony for the top 4 students, including the freshman representative, acknowledging their high scores. As the announcement concluded, students began to ascend the steps to the podium, moving to take their designated places. Observing from the side, the man noted how the students' faces shone with a sense of belonging to their positions as main characters. His gaze lingered as he considered who stood out the most among them, considering them the brightest presence in the room. A spotlight fell on Mei Yusong, the freshman representative, lauded as the student with the highest score, remarkable for his intelligence and appearance. The man quietly acknowledged Mei Yusong's reputation, taking in his presence as the notable student everyone spoke about. Mei Yusong was described as a character who epitomized greatness, fitting the phrase honored among all, standing as an extraordinary individual. With a mana status of 9 stars, Mei Yusong was considered a natural genius capable of controlling all elements, possessing potential akin to deities. Despite the daunting task of avoiding bad endings, the man resolved to guide Mei Yusong to the good side, accepting it as a personal mission. His belief was that Flame bore responsibility, considering everything depended on her actions in the future. From his perspective, developing a good rapport with Flame could be beneficial, as they both shared the same reality. However, he knew complications could arise if Flame saw him as an enemy, yet he held the upper hand with his knowledge. Reflecting on their shared world, he realized their roles in a romance fantasy, distinguishing their separate but intertwined paths. Flame, the heroine, possessed unique abilities to cleanse dark demonic humans, a significant asset in their world. Beyond that, she had another ability that impoverished those around her, adding complexity to their interactions. He mused that being mere Flame would inevitably have an effect on him as well, knowing the impact she carried. His role, he understood, was to provide support from afar, maintaining a distance from the main characters. He resolved to minimize his involvement with them as much as possible, maintaining a careful balance in his interactions. As the entrance ceremony concluded, he joined the others in applause, marking the formal start of the new chapter at Stella Academy. He couldn't help but feel the oddness of returning to high school life after having finished university, an unexpected twist of fate. Holding a pocket watch, a sense of satisfaction washed over him, considering it a comforting presence. The Stella pocket watch symbolized not just time but his connection with the prestigious Magic Academy, a badge of honor. With this watch, he anticipated better treatment and services, fantasizing about making the most out of this advantage while daydreaming. Lai Hanwol stands at the front, instructing everyone to sit in their seats. A male student is informed about the commencement of exams and the procedure for those with glasses. Students learn that Stella Academy's rigorous curriculum includes an exam on the first day. The exam is identified as the Class Organization Exam. Lai Hanwol clarifies it as a class placement exam and signals the start. One male student finds the exam difficult, not understanding what it says. The class placement exam, distinct from the difficult entrance exam, determines class assignments. The S-class is mentioned, typically consisting of playable characters. Bak Yuseol, who ranked last, worries about being assigned to the F-class. The male student reflects on Bak Yuseol's situation, noting its unchanged state. The student observes that Bak Yuseol has already finished his exam paper. The monotony of life is noted particularly due to the lack of challenge. Mei Yusong's ennui is contrasted with his exceptional background and abilities. Everything is too easy for Mei Yusong due to his genius brain and talent. Mei Yusong's moral alignment depends on the female lead's actions, marking his potential for good or evil. Dark demonic humans are notably interested in Mei Yusong. Bak Yuseol ponders Mei Yusong's familial complications. Observing geniuses intensifies Bak Yuseol's self-comparison. Bak Yuseol considers using bubble glasses, recalling their utility and skill enhancement. With nothing to lose, Bak Yuseol decides to check the glasses. Lai Hanwol questions the purpose of the glasses as Bak Yuseol reveals them. Lai Hanwol reminds the student about the requirement to pre-check glasses. Lai Hanwol offers to examine the glasses personally. Bak Yuseol worries about potential magical detection and expulsion. A system alert occurs, prompting Bak Yuseol to insist on staying calm. Lai Hanwol detects no mana, advising prior permission next time. Bak Yuseol discovers the answers are visible with the glasses. Feeling triumphant, Bak Yuseol considers his chances of getting first place. Confident, Bak Yuseol believes he can move up from the F-class. Lai Hanwol announces the exam's end, surprising Bak Yuseol. A man is surrounded by floating pages, wondering how he managed to finish 3 questions so quickly, seemingly surprised at his own ability. Baek Yuseol adjusts his glasses, reflecting on his relief and slight disbelief at having escaped F-class, pondering the challenge he faced. Lee Han-wol demands the glasses urgently, his commanding tone leaving Baek Yuseol startled and confused by the sudden request. Lee Han-wol closely examines the glasses, doubting the chance for any manipulation, pondering the impossibility of the situation. Lee Han-wol instructs another male student to summon Dr. Grayan, addressing him with authority and urgency. While the student quickly agrees, Baek Yuseol questions the sudden seriousness of the situation, reassuring himself that his detailed answers should clear any suspicions of cheating. An internal monologue expresses Baek Yuseol's fear of having been discovered, the thought weighing heavily on his mind. A dark room serves as the backdrop for a query posed to a doctor, asking for his opinion on the matter at hand. Dr. Grayan, identified as a magic engineering professor, examines the glasses with a thoughtful as he considers their nature. In a discussion between Lee Han-wol and another, there is suspicion about the method used to solve the problem, yet it's confirmed no cheating occurred as no magical tool energy is detected. A conclusion is made that Baek Yuseol must have solved the questions on his own, the certainty of his abilities being affirmed. Dr. Grayan expresses his fascination with the situation and tells Lee Han-wol to apologize and guide the student, appreciating the rare occurrence. Lee Han-wol acknowledges his mistake, offering an apology for the misunderstanding, his demeanor now more composed. Baek Yuseol internally admits his slight cheating attempt to relieve the glasses' functions didn't work, promising to be more careful. Lee Han-wol is alerted by someone calling his name, drawing attention to the ongoing conversation. A female colleague queries Lee Han-wol about the exam papers, confirming they are indeed this year's batch, sparking interest. Professor Edeltainen expresses enthusiasm about the prospective students, noting their potential with a cheerful demeanor. Lee Han-wol acknowledges her statement with a simple agreement, sharing her anticipation. A description of Han Bayan highlights her prestigious lineage in fire magic, identifying her as a princess from a notable kingdom. Jeremy Scalvin, the prodigious successor to the Scalvin Empire, is introduced with mention of his rapid ascent to power. Ha Wanriang is noted as an emerging figure, recognized for his connection to the esteemed Magic Tower Master, marking his significance. Professor Edeltainen comments on the challenge of crafting exam questions for such elite students, satisfied with the result. Lee Han-wol expresses contentment over the questions meeting expectations, appreciating their impact. The narrative highlights a new type of question featured in the exam, designed for typical students to solve. Emphasis is placed on the purpose of these three unique questions, identifying the examiner's intent. The first question is identified as a flexibility test, challenging students to move forward without dwelling on unsolvable problems. Details emerge of a question asking students to address an unfamiliar problem, encouraging innovative thinking. Lee Han-wol reflects on the evolving nature of magic education, valuing quick thinking over memorization. A revelation is made that the questions were not intended to be solved, with most students leaving them unanswered. It's disclosed that among the few who attempted the questions, successful answers were exceedingly rare, underscoring their difficulty. As the examination results are reviewed, a man notes that among the new students, only 3 managed to answer all 3 questions correctly, highlighting the exceptional nature of these individuals. The focus shifts to Mei Yusong, hailed as a prodigy of unparalleled talent, though his origins remain shrouded in mystery. Flame also gains recognition, defying her humble beginnings by gaining admission on the principal's recommendation, nearing Mei Yusong's abilities. Then emerges another remarkable student, Baek Yuseol, whose presence alone suggests something significant about his capabilities and future potential. The man continues to analyze, acknowledging Mei Yusong and Flame as geniuses while expressing surprise that Baek Yuseol, who had the lowest admission score, managed to solve all the questions despite previous difficulties. Curiosity about the new student's scores prompts a discussion between a woman and the man as they ponder over a student whose results seem illogical. The woman finds it reasonable that someone could solve equations without prior knowledge, hinting at a revelation in the making. The man questions whether this student could be a genius, while the woman considers it might just be a coincidence, yet the possibility lingers. Reflecting inwardly, the man wonders if the child who received personal admission from the principal is truly unique, emphasizing the enigma surrounding them. Thoughts pivot to a student specializing in blink within the Mage combat curriculum, suggesting an intriguing facet to this individual's skills. There is anticipation about uncovering whether the student's achievements are coincidental or indicative of something extraordinary to be revealed in time. As students discuss class assignments posted on the bulletin board, anxiety about placement is palpable, particularly concerning pressure from home regarding class results. Baek Yuseol, stressing over the necessity of checking his class assignment in person, laments how effortless this was compared to a game he played, underscoring his unease. A student questions the identity of Bak Yusil, showing curiosity and a hint of disbelief at his presence. Conversations among peers express skepticism about Bak Yusil's magic test scores, challenging his inclusion in Stella and questioning the Academy's standards. As comments swirl around him, Bak Yusil decides to focus on checking his class assignment, indifferent to others' judgments. The purple-tinged bulletin board displays lines of class assignments, each name representing a student's fate, yet not all are content. Surprise and confusion ensue as Bak Yusil notes the absence of his name, triggering immediate concern about a potential error or oversight. Panic strikes Bak Yusil at the thought of being penalized for answering only 3 questions correctly, his mind racing with dire consequences. Puzzlement persists for Bak Yusil as he ponders his situation, suspecting some sort of mistake, unable to shake off the strange feeling enveloping his thoughts. Amidst this, discussions highlight the disparity in class assignments, noting other students rank higher yet placed differently, adding to the mystery surrounding Bak Yusil's case. His confusion deepens, wondering whether an external element might be influencing these peculiar academic outcomes. Finally, clarity comes as his name appears in a distinguished manner, marked as part of S0 Bak Yusil, a category that turns heads. Staring at the listing, he ponders why his name is positioned there, a revelation sparking intense bewilderment and curiosity. The realization unsettles him, the words defy logic, leaving him to question the reality of the situation and its implications. The significance of Class S becomes clear, a prestigious group within Stella Academy reserved for the cream of the crop, a gathering of unmatched brilliance. Unlike other classes with numerous divisions, Class S stands alone, encapsulating only 41 students, a mark of its exclusivity. Bak Yusil grapples with the reality of his inclusion in this elite group, worried about the consequences and the frequent encounters with main figures. He fears that interaction with prominent students could jeopardize his already limited lifespan, lamenting his inability to switch classes. Determined to navigate the situation, he resolves to maintain a low profile to avoid undue attention and any further complications. Finding some sense of resignation, Bak Yusil encourages himself, resolved to adapt and manage the unexpected turn of events. Hong Yil, the fire element professor, seemed disappointed, commenting on the student who got 3 questions wrong, knowing even Princess Azel Molt could answer 2 correctly. With a critical demeanor, Hong Yil told the student that they were below even insects for their inability to answer easy questions. Bayan acknowledged understanding her mother's harsh words, confirming it quietly, while filled with emotion. Hong Yil stood over Bayan, urging her not to become like her, a failure in her eyes, and reminding her of the responsibility she bears. Hong Yil expressed disdain for herself, having been cast out of the kingdom, and stressed Bayan's potential consequences if she followed the same path. She urged Bayan to surpass her sister, making it clear that achieving more was her only path forward. Hong Yil questioned Bayan to ensure she comprehended the gravity of the situation and her expectations. Bayan affirmed her understanding to her mother, saying she comprehended the expectations placed upon her. Reflecting privately, Bayan admitted her confusion and struggle with living and solving tasks as she had been taught. She found herself facing problems involving magic, spells, and formulas that were unfamiliar, silently questioning why these were beyond her grasp. Still plagued with questions, Bayan wondered why such burdens were placed upon her, feeling tormented by the expectations and pressures. Meanwhile, a male student, Jeremy Skiven, felt overwhelmed, realizing he'd been placed among the social, eccentric students, which was not what he had envisioned. He puzzled over someone's unexpected presence, unable to comprehend how they fitted into the surroundings. Another student explained that parents had protested his placement in the S class, but the official response was he had the qualifications needed. Jeremy considered himself an outcast, acknowledging that his presence didn't fit with those around him in that space. He reflected on the dedication of others, understanding their frustration at being classed alongside someone perceived as slow like him. Despite exceptions, he noted that even the S class was subject to change with performance, indicating rare cases of demotion. Jeremy anticipated a male student rising from the A class to the S class later, deciding to find out more about this prediction eventually. Surrounded by students, Jeremy found it fascinating that individuals who seemed like game characters were tangible and nearby. While thinking of future prospects, he acknowledged that many would become renowned worldwide, with a select few possibly betraying the magical world. Mei Yusong was identified as one potentially prone to betrayal, a fact known to Jeremy within the academy. A female student wished Flame could prevent such foreseen misdeeds from becoming a reality, contemplating possible intervention. Li Hanwol, the S-class professor, entered commanding attention, instructing all students to settle down. Formally introducing himself, Li Hanwol stood confidently, ready to address the students before him. Identifying himself as the professor of the S-class, Lee Hanwol stood at the lectern, revealing his crucial role to the newcomers. Observing from his seat, a student recognized Lee Hanwol's reputation, recalling the near-thousand dark demonic humans Hanwol had dealt with. Known as the 7th-class magic warrior, Lee Hanwol was seen as operating on another level, reiterating for the class to maintain quiet. Hanwol acknowledged the presence of numerous talented students along with someone uniquely distinct catching his eye. Addressing the Academy's mission, Lee Hanwol emphasized their role in training combat mages and the demanding education they would undergo. His expectations were pragmatic, asking students for their utmost effort throughout their rigorous journey, aiming for excellence. Lee Hanwol asks if there are any questions, setting the scene for the discussion to follow. With no questions posed, he decides it's time to start the class as a student enters the room. Han Bian considers the irony of Han Bian, the typically rule-abiding student, arriving late today. Arvin wonders aloud if something has happened, intrigued by the unusual circumstance. Han Bian decides to use the bulbul glasses to investigate the situation further. A list of facts about Han Bian appears, noting her attributes and the ominous guarantee of her demise. Han Bian reflects on the certainty of her death, emphasizing this unsettling prediction. It's revealed that if Azel perishes due to flame, Han Bian will meet her end because of them both. The narrative recognizes the inescapable fate of Han Bian, describing it as characteristic of a villainess. Han Bian wishes to help but acknowledges her inability to intervene in the situation. Feeling remorseful, Han Bian realizes the only option is to maintain distance. As confusion sets in, Han Bian senses a disturbing twist from the very start. Before lessons commence, Lee Hanwol introduces the concept of staff succession for the students. He elaborates that the S and A classes will jointly partake in the staff succession ceremony. Han Bian finds the ceremony a bit troublesome. Despite this, Han Bian admits to looking forward to the event. There are notably 2 significant ceremonies in Stella Academy. One is the familiar contract ceremony and the other is the staff succession ceremony. The staff succession ceremony at the esteemed Stella Academy is highlighted as quite significant. Lee Hanwol addresses the assembled students, ensuring everyone is present. He points out the staves ranging from basic to middle-high class prepared for selection. Students are instructed to approach a staff they'd like to claim as their own. Han Bian notes that choosing a staff is complex, and the resonance between holder and staff is crucial. In the Aether world, staves align only with those deemed worthy, resulting in a resonance effect. This means that acquiring high-level staves isn't simply based on desire. Han Bian contemplates which staff to choose amid the available options. Reconsidering past choices, Han Bian reflects on the need to choose wisely in the S-class. For Han Bian, the wand is deemed the most suitable staff option. Staves are categorized into short-form wands for fast magic and long-form staffs for slower casting. Long-form staffs are typically used by the bishop class, emphasizing a single powerful spell. A boy in a uniform wonders which choice someone will make. A student comments on the abilities expected from someone in the S-class, suggesting a lack of difficulty with resonance. Ignoring the rumors, the boy dismisses others' thoughts. A student challenges another, asking for his identity, introducing himself as Uslik. The first boy is puzzled by the unfamiliarity of Uslik's name. Uslik questions the boy about his staff selection, who replies indifferently. Uslik remarks that the boy should select a staff suited for a commoner. Emphasizing his point, Uslik advises not to cause trouble for the professors, leaving the boy silent. The boy returns the sentiment, telling Uslik not to cause trouble as well. Infuriated, Uslik responds with anger. The boy muses over the annoyance of the situation, hinting at being provoked. Uslik is identified with the background of being a third-rate bully and an underling of Prince Jeremy. The boy processes the information, seemingly underwhelmed by it. Uslik's importance is questioned, as the boy considers him an extra. Uslik declares his intent to select a particular staff and urges observation. The boy is surprised about the mention of Edmure and Amiri. He notes that it should be the most prestigious staff present, suitable for high-class users. A middle-high-class staff is typically reserved for professional magic warriors, not students. The boy reflects that even professional warriors struggle to wield middle-low-class staves. It's noted there's another middle-high-class staff intended more for display than selection. An instructor instructs everyone to choose and stand by their preferred staff. Observers are shocked to see multiple students picking middle-class staves. The boy notes that even a princess chose a middle-class staff. Uslik grows frustrated amidst the chaos of unexpected staff choices. With determination, Uslik asserts he can achieve the same success. Observers recognize Uslik as he makes his way towards a staff. Spectators question if Uslek aims to resonate with a high-class staff. Uslek, confident, prepares to demonstrate his S-class talent. The boy observes Uslek's failure to resonate as expected. Concern arises as Uslek seems injured, prompting calls for a professor. The scene opens with Mei Yusong thinking about how achieving a middle-high class seems impossible. He reflects that it might be better to give up. Mei Yusong walks away contemplating this situation. A reminder to get a hold of himself echoes in his mind. The owner of a significant staff has been decided. Mei Yusong stands with confidence knowing this fact. It becomes clear to those observing that Mei Yusong is involved in the event concerning the staff. They wonder if he will attempt to claim it. Reflecting on the power of the staff, Mei Yusong doubts anyone could handle such a formidable artifact as Edmure Edamiri, including himself. Students express disbelief that an incoming student could manage to take possession of a high mid-class staff. A question about the possibility of such an event lingers in the air, but Mei Yusong realizes he saw this coming. Mei Yusong speculates that more people will recognize the talent on display due to recent developments. In confusion, Mei Yusong ponders if someone has lost their mind. Anyway, he persists. The narrative shifts, revealing Flame as another owner of a high mid-class staff named Teravan. Yet there's a juncture where potential paths diverge. If Flame secures Teravan, the trajectory may change. Mei Yusong could become interested in Flame due to her brilliance, leading to the initiation of the Mei Yusong Road. Conversely, selecting an alternative staff would chart a unique course. The need to involve Flame to align with Mei Yusong remains crucial. As Mei Yusong approaches, he notes with interest that he's found the desired object, while Flame is not far behind. The weapon Teravan comes into view, sparkling as the goal in this decisive moment. A pivotal question arises. What will Flame decide to do next, considering this situation and opportunities? The internal suggestion emerges to seize Teravan. Doing so will likely pique Mei Yusong's interest in Flame, potentially altering future outcomes. Walking briskly, Flame hastens toward the staff, adding urgency to their actions and thoughts. Yet, unexpectedly, Flame shows confusion and appears uninterested in Teravan, leading to uncertainty. Mei Yusong questions why Flame isn't intrigued by Teravan. He wonders if there's a lack of information influencing her decision. Concern mounts as he reflects on Flame's resonation abilities with any staff as the narrative's female lead. If Flame selects an unusual staff, beneficial paths could be closed off, which raises anxiety. At this crucial point, Mei Yusong feels compelled to act, lighting a resolve within him. He resolves internally that pushing Teravan toward Flame becomes his only option. A sudden shift implies change as the moment intensifies around Flame and an unexpected figure. Mei Yusong casually inquires about Flame's choice of staff, seeking clarity under the guise of curiosity. Her response is guarded. Flame admits feeling uncertain but dismisses Mei Yusong's concern as unnecessary, marking her independence. She turns to leave, affirming her decision, leaving Mei Yusong questioning the interaction. Mei Yusong reflects quietly, sensing something peculiar in the unfolding events. A group of students discusses Flame, who is known for her friendly nature, yet she seems distant today. One student questions why she is being so cold. Flame, determined not to give up, acknowledges the importance of her current situation for her future. A voice calls out for her to wait. A male student offers help in choosing, but Flame dismissively tells him to mind his own business. Although the boy feels there's a perfect staff for Flame, she is visibly annoyed by his suggestion. Flame demands to know what he understands about staffs, challenging his knowledge with skepticism. The male student wonders if he made a mistake or if Flame simply doesn't care for him, feeling the awkwardness of the situation. He suggests that Flame should try to grab a particular staff, implying confidence in her abilities as they stand together. The staff in question, named Teravan, glows with a mystical aura, drawing attention. Affirming his choice, the male student encourages Flame to consider Teravan, adding a casual assurance. Suddenly, an unexpected and mysterious noise interrupts them, causing concern. The male student is startled to find Teravan unexpectedly in his grasp, wondering how this occurred. Confused, he questions why he has the staff when it was meant for Flame, feeling puzzled by the turn of events. A student inquires if others have heard the recent developments, hinting at spreading news. The information that two students successfully resonated with high mid-class staffs this year stirs intrigue among peers, as such feats are rare. It is noted with surprise that one of the successful students only used a basic magic, Blink, during the exam, defying expectations. Flame reflects silently, pondering if something might have gone awry with a distant look. The scene shifts to the self-study hall, marked by a serene and academic atmosphere. Flame walks through the quiet hall, noting the stillness and taking in her surroundings. Contemplating the day's discussions, Flame realizes everyone's focus was on the unusual events concerning the new students. The quick spread of the news about the staffs baffles her, yet she admits she cannot comprehend the situation. Shocked, Flame realizes someone grabbed Teravan, sparking her curiosity about the person who achieved it. She recalls reading the original novel multiple times, noting her surprise at Bak Yusul's unexpected appearance and actions. Reflecting on the novel's claim that no one has previously taken Teravan, she finds his ease in doing so astonishing. Flame perceives his actions as an attempt to show off, interpreting them with a mix of intrigue and skepticism. Despite her racing thoughts, Flame concludes that dwelling on the matter won't be productive and decides to move on. Her peers ask if she intends to study alone, joining her with friendly curiosity as evening settles in. Flame humorously defends herself against being labeled a nerd, explaining she immerses herself in study out of habit. Her friends tease her about calling them kids, pointing out they're the same age, which fuels their camaraderie. She laughs it off, explaining it's a habit due to always being treated as older where she used to live. Flame amusingly reveals her self-awareness of being in a novel, admitting she can't behave like a typical child. A girl questions if another will study alone again today, showing a sense of familiarity and concern in this setting. Another girl observes, trying to recall that the first girl might be someone named Jackie, hinting at recognition but uncertainty. The first girl wonders why the other girl's style is similar to hers, pondering on a past encounter while acknowledging an upcoming special meeting. She decides it's time to leave, agreeing to meet for coffee another time, displaying casual camaraderie as she says her goodbyes. The girl reflects on the nature of girls of that age as she walks away, a hint of resigned understanding in her thoughts. Contemplating the challenges of being a student, the girl silently acknowledges the difficulties that come with her age. She crosses paths with a boy, recognizing him as Hao Wenying, and the meeting seems to take her by surprise. Hao Wenying asks if she's okay, and she assures him that she is, keeping their interaction straightforward. He notices something off about her expression and asks if something is wrong, indicating concern for her well-being. She wonders if he's worried about her, but dismissively assures herself that there's no particular reason for his concern. Hao Wenying inquires about her self-study plans, and she confirms while asking if he will be attending the exclusive training hall again. The boy comments on her dedication to training, which she finds unnecessarily sincere, hinting at her diligence. As they part ways, he wishes her well, maintaining a courteous and friendly demeanor. She reflects on the blandness of something, her thoughts trailing off as she leaves. Pausing, she wonders why Jackie is lingering, showing a brief moment of curiosity. She quickly decides that it doesn't matter and dismisses the thought, indicating a shift in focus. Realizing it's not the time to think of trivial matters, she hurries on, focusing on her priorities. She recalls a special supplementary meeting, indicating its importance in her mind. Recollecting the original novel, she remembers Azel and Hong Bayan's attendance, contemplating their roles as lead and antagonist. Confirming the presence of all key characters, she internalizes the significance of the event she's attending. Observing the host, A-Class Kyle, she notes how he appears taken aback, setting the scene of the event. The meeting's frame is crucial for students, meaning great improvements, attributing its significance to the participation of famous S-Class students. She's surprised to see Mei Yusong there, reflecting on the unexpected presence within the setting. Thoughts turn to Mei Yusong, described as the male lead, and his interest in Bak Yusul, adding layers of complexity. She concludes that the meeting is no coincidence, considering the involvement of significant individuals. Reflecting on Bak Yusul's past actions, she considers his strategic approach to challenges, hinting at a deeper understanding of his plans. She realizes that Bak Yusul knew the significance of solving difficult questions to enter the S-Class, revealing his foresight. She comprehends that Bak Yusul was aware beforehand and acted with intention, recognizing his calculated demeanor. Her conclusion about Bak Yusul leads her to see him as potentially dangerous, noting his ambition. Another character wishes for someone to take Bak Yusul away, perhaps burdened by the implications of his actions, adding tension. Yusul is approached by a male character who wonders why he's there and advises him not to pay attention to certain things. The male character questions if Yusul has a special reason for his presence. Yusul, with a touch of humor, admits there's no special reason, just that he was told to join because of his poor grades. Yusul internally reflects on why someone shows interest in him, pondering the situation with curiosity. The male character suggests to Yusul that their conversation should end, indicating it's time to move on from their chat. Standing at the podium, a green-haired character announces that they are focusing on reviewing the placement exam problems that day. A female character listens attentively as it is explained that the placement exam questions were notoriously difficult, earning the nickname 3 Questions from Hell. The green-haired character boasts about solving one of these challenging questions while someone else grumbles internally, frustrated by such individuals. Filled with ambition, another male character sees this situation as a chance, noting that Yusul had the lowest exam score. Determined, the green-haired character plans to prove his superiority over Yusil by demonstrating his solution process. He addresses the class, explaining the deceptive nature of the problem, designed to lead to errors. Yusil contemplates aloud, considering whether the green-haired character's solution is correct. Confused, Yusil questions the content and purpose of the 3 questions from Hell, seeking clarity on what is happening. Yusil, deciding to be forthright, makes up his mind to be honest in his response, seeking simplicity in his approach. He openly admits to not knowing the answer, catching the green-haired character off guard with his unexpected response. The exchange surprises another character nearby, who confirms that the speaker is indeed Bak Yusil. The green-haired character questions if Yusil is implying that Kyle, presumably himself, is incorrect in his explanation. Bewildered, Yusil notes the sudden shift in attention towards him, wondering why everyone is staring. Questioning himself, Yusil speculates if he is making mistakes, adding to the tension of the situation. With a challenging tone, the green-haired character directly addresses Yusil, urging him to demonstrate his abilities. The green-haired character dares Yusil to solve the problem publicly, provoking a reaction but leaving Yusil speechless at the challenge. Stunned by the unexpected invite, Yusil reacts with disbelief, questioning the entire scenario. Encouragement comes from the male character, cheering Yusil on while Yusil senses ulterior motives behind the supposed support. Stepping down, Yusil resigns himself to the task ahead with a resigned acknowledgement of the situation. Determined, Yusil resolves to face the challenge head-on, ready to handle whatever comes next. His thoughts turn to the infamous 3 questions from Hell, contemplating their nature. Surveying the board, Yusil considers it more of a riddle, hinting at its tricky and deceptive characteristics. A magical illustration of a spell involving the earth is outlined as an example, posing a question behind the logic. The straightforwardness of the answer is highlighted, suggesting a simple solution to the seemingly complex question. With confidence, Yusil deduces that tears from dirt lead to decomposure, playing with word structures to find clarity. Despite the absurdity of the solution, Yusil critiques the nature of the problem, pondering the minds behind such riddles. A male student stands with his arms crossed, talking about Kyle solving a problem like it's just math, mentioning soil splitting when it cries or whatever. The boy at the chalkboard thinks Kyle's method was wrong but stumbled upon the right answer by luck. He reflects that Kyle would fail a similar problem. He lets Kyle know he can't show the correct way but can pinpoint his mistakes, waiting for confirmation of understanding. With a focus on Earth, he suggests considering the scenario if it involved water or wind, looking for a deeper understanding. Kyle is challenged to think if his method works in different contexts. Nervously, Kyle decides he'll use a different method. But the challenge remains. Doing things differently means a whole new approach, which shocks Kyle. The reassurance is given that luck led to the correct answer, not the intention of the test maker causing doubts. Realizing the harshness, the boy asks himself if he overdid it. Regardless, he continues, hinting at the lesson's conclusion. A female student wonders how this is possible, observing that others are diligently taking notes. Both Aizel and Hong Baiyan, expected to argue, are distracted by the problem at hand, focused rather than bickering. A close-up of the female student's concerned face, questioning if the current situation is acceptable. A cheerful boy tells Yusil he'll see him tomorrow, showing a friendly demeanor. Yusil is internally frustrated, wishing to avoid interaction with this boy forever, expressing deep irritation. He reflects that this might be related to a telephone, possibly acknowledging a reason behind the situation. Despite not using the telephone, Yusil ponders why Ma Yusong is paying attention to him. Yusil thinks about characters using something besides flame, walking through a dim corridor. Recognizing Hong Baiyan, he wonders if she's waiting for someone, not expecting her presence there. Deciding it's unrelated to him, he plans to pass by quickly, avoiding interaction with Baiyan. Suddenly, he hears his name, Bak Yusil, bringing a sense of surprise. With determination, Hong Baiyan expresses her intent to ask Yusil something important. Yusil contemplates Baiyan's unexpected interest, while she directly asks what she wants. Baiyan questions why Yusil didn't explain the solution earlier, expressing curiosity and perhaps frustration. Yusil clarifies that he didn't explain due to the nonsensical nature of the quiz, not out of choice. Feeling misunderstood, Yusil reflects on his lack of words, pondering his ability to articulate. Baiyan speculates that Yusil didn't want to announce his solution publicly, assuming his rationale. Yusil is surprised at the assumption, denying her speculated reason behind not speaking up. Baiyan suggests compensating Yusil, offering something for his troubles. Surprised, Yusil questions what she means as Baiyan offers a fair compensation. Baiyan insists on Yusil explaining whatever is on his mind, seeking understanding. Yusil is confused about being paid to tackle test questions, while Baiyan assures she has her reasons, urging him to proceed. Baek Yusil acknowledges that only 3 questions were wrong, questioning why someone would ask for his help after getting everything else wrong. Hoin-Yel finds it not embarrassing to ask for help, but rather the fact that she still hasn't figured out the solutions what troubles her. Baek Yusil considers Hoin-Yel's willingness to do anything for answers, thinking she sounds like a model student. Hoin-Yel wonders why Baek Yusil was specifically asked for help. Baek Yusil suggests that as a princess, Hoin-Yel should have many friends to ask rather than just him. Baek Yusil explains that only 3 people, including her, out of 1,141 freshmen, got the 3 questions from hell right. Baek Yusil looks confused as he starts to question Hoin-Yel's intentions. Hoin-Yel explains that the trick questions were not meant to be solved, yet Baek Yusil, Flame, and she had managed it. Baek Yusil finds himself in a tough situation, grasping the reality of the unsolvable questions. Baek Yusil questions the purpose of these trick questions meant for nobody to solve. Baek Yusil contemplates why he's in the S class, considering these insane challenges. Reflecting, Baek Yusil wonders why Flame held him back. Hoin-Yel admits she didn't know the details of world building and was unaware of such trick questions. Hoin-Yel realizes that Flame is different from her. She knows that Flame must know most of the story settings, even without knowing the game's story. Such comprehension by Flame includes awareness of the 3 trick questions. Baek Yusil being an extra in their world forced Flame to acknowledge his existence. Baek Yusil processes the reason behind Flame's behavior, while Hoin-Yel questions his expression. Hoin-Yel reminds Baek Yusil of her request to listen to her in return for his help, which he affirms. Baek Yusil's request is to alter his staff into a magic sword, which intrigues Hoin-Yel. Hoin-Yel finds the requests simple for the blacksmiths in his kingdom, yet unusual for a mage like him. Baek Yusil insists that a magic sword fits his style, hence the unusual request. He mentally notes that he doesn't feel like explaining his condition but asks Hoin-Yel if she'll do it. Hoin-Yel agrees, finding it easy, which Baek Yusil appreciates. Baek Yusil decides to reveal the way to solve a question as gratitude. He begins to explain that the solution involves a change of perspective. Hoin-Yel seeks clarification on the needed change of perspective, to which Baek Yusil affirms. The weakness of Hoin-Bian is identified as being stuck in a textbook magic rut. This realization comes only in her 2nd year after a significant defeat by Flame. Baek Yusil considers he might not provide significant insights immediately, but aims to guide her in the right direction. In the dimly lit room, a young man starts off with uncertainty, pondering to himself about something important, wondering quietly. He asks her if she's ever come across something called a nonsense quiz, appearing curious. The girl seems to recall the term nonsense, suggesting she might have heard of it, though her confidence wavers. The young man decides to clarify with a specific example, asking what lies between a knee and a me. Confused, the girl appears deep in thought, guessing that it might be the back of the knee, though unsure if she's correct. Smiling, he reveals that the correct answer is simply and further perplexing the girl. He explains the logic, reminding her that he literally asked what's between a me and a me, emphasizing the expected simplicity. Her mood darkens as she focuses intensely on him, while he remains unwavering, suggesting her reaction may be a bit too intense. Attempting to lighten the mood, he encourages her to calm down and focus on another question, hoping to redirect her attention. He presents a paper filled with unfamiliar formulas and techniques, emphasizing that this challenge requires creativity to solve. She wonders aloud if it would even be feasible to memorize such creativity, her expression reflecting her doubtfulness. He acknowledges that knowing numerous spells and techniques is crucial, but hints that there's something more. He starts to explain that for a mage, the most critical aspect transcends the knowledge of techniques. In a moment of insight, she considers the idea that magic can grow with even the smallest change, viewing the world with new understanding. Still, he notes that she tends to perceive things only as they are, suggesting a lack of deeper insight. He elaborates that spells involve more than just memorizing and executing them, implying a wider perspective is needed. Acknowledging her analytical skills, he admits she might surpass him there, yet highlights a notable gap in creativity. He points out that although she might have many skills, the essential component for a mage, a creative mind, is missing. Observing her serious expression, he internally comments on how intensely she focuses on his explanation. Seeking reassurance, he asks if she has understood everything, despite the complexity of his explanation. With confidence, she confirms her understanding, leaving no room for doubt in her comprehension efforts. Internally, he admits his own confusion, finding it fascinating that she appears to grasp concepts he struggles with. He expresses his relief that she's on the same page and suggests they proceed with the exercise. He poses a lighthearted question about what a man would say to a horse while putting it to bed, catching her off guard. The question lingers in her mind as she contemplates possible answers, visibly puzzled by its simplicity. She conceives her inability to answer, and he responds with the punchline, revealing the playful nature of the quiz. He continues with another question about why beds are perceived as hardworking, leading to another humorous reveal. Challenging again, he asks what eventuates when rock, paper, and scissors partake in a race, and she remains perplexed. He delightfully shares the answer, enjoying the pun that rock started the race while paper and scissors remain stationary. He anticipates an explosive reaction from her, knowing her patience might be nearing its limit, yet maintains his composure. Han Bayan pondered what the cloud might have said to the ocean, hinting at a story or joke. A male character wondered aloud what the cloud said to the ocean, particularly when it was raining. Hong Bayan considered the phrase, "I'm getting a bit emotional," reflecting on the potential wordplay involved. With surprise, Han Bayan acknowledged that the male character got the answer right. The male character realized that this was the first time he saw Hong Bayan smile both in-game and in reality, marking a memorable moment. The male character complimented Hong Bayan, stating her creativity was at another level as expected of a princess. Hong Bayan, feeling flustered, asked the male character to move on to the next question, signaling readiness for more. The male character mused about spending 3 hours on those nonsense questions with Hong Bayan, showing how time-consuming it was. Reflecting on his past statements, the male character was surprised by the truth in them while being haunted by memories of previous blunders. Han Bayan, described as an excellent magician with a sharp mind, had a weakness in her rigid way of thinking, offering opportunities for others to exploit. Although Han Bayan was the villainess, the male character felt slightly guilty, acknowledging her role. The male character considered modifying Turvian into a magic sword, implying the necessity of more work. Realizing he needed to hurry, the male character decided to buy the books needed for his class, aware of his urgency. Unsure of his exact location, the male character tried to recall if he was in the right area. Looking around, the male character noted how run-down the place appeared, acknowledging its state. Despite the appearances, the male character seemed assured, knowing something others might not. The bookstore owner pretended to be asleep while watching his customers, creating an unsettling atmosphere in the nameless decrepit bookstore. Mention of the study notes of Mela, highlighting their value as the student graduated at the top of Stella Academy 10 years ago. In real life, a textbook for the major would be necessary, affecting grade increases based on the textbook used. While the game presented choices with the press of a button, reality required more tangible actions. Initially purchasing textbooks from famous bookstores, the male character later discovered valuable books hidden without signatures. Considering taking a magical engineering class with Mela's notes, the male character believed it could guarantee full marks. Estelle appeared, prompting the male character's surprise at encountering her. Estelle confidently acknowledged the male character's recognition of her, hinting at her fame. Remembering the male character's name, Estelle linked him to the supplementary group, showcasing her memory. The male character questioned if Estelle failed to remember their earlier meeting before entering the academy. Estelle mentioned enjoying a debate while expressing disappointment over the male character's incomplete explanation, leading to his reflection on her inability to figure out the question either. Estelle casually ended the conversation, indicating it was nice meeting him before departing. The male character felt relief at keeping hold of something precious, grateful that it wasn't taken away. He wondered why Estelle was there, pondering the reasons behind her unexpected presence. The bookstore typically stocks used books and attracts customers who are generally students with limited means, just like the ones browsing through the shelves in search of affordable options. Estelle, from a once-respected family that's fallen on hard times, finds herself here out of necessity. Her mind wanders to her father. A dark memory looms, with her father likely having met his untimely end by the hands of sinister, dark entities. A young man comments on the tragic circumstances, observing that it's unfortunate for someone of her background to have to worry about affording used books. The narrative of Estelle continues, highlighting her early demise even before characters like Flame, who rose to significance as the story unfolded, further emphasizing her misfortune. Estelle is remembered as the character most plagued by misfortune, suggesting her story within the novel was particularly tragic. At the bookstore counter, Estelle gathers her selected books, and the young man behind the counter, though initially surprised, agrees to sell her the stack she presents. A conversation ensues where the young man inquires what Estelle intended to say, noting her choice of topics as rather intriguing. The young man wonders if Estelle was on the verge of insulting him, hinting at the complexity of their interactions. Estelle finds herself questioned about her choice of reading material, which includes an advanced topic, leading to curiosity about her interests. The ancient theory of sealing, a rare skill involving magic, is explained to have little use in the current era, overshadowed by advancements in alchemy and magical engineering, as Estelle considers its significance. Acknowledging its limited application, Aicel admits to the young man that she understands the obscurity of the subject. Her reasoning, clear and purposeful, points to her pursuit of the subject precisely because of its lack of popularity, aiming for academic advantage. The young man, grasping her strategy, comments that her perspective is shared by others, suggesting an easier path in mastering the subject. As the discussion concludes, Aicel watches as he departs, possibly intrigued by his words or intentions. Echoing Aicel's view, the young man acknowledges the strategic choice of a less demanding subject to gain higher grades, contrasting it with other courses. With confidence, he reflects on his decision, foreseeing a smooth semester ahead, satisfied with his academic strategy. A new day dawns, introducing a change in scenery as the setting shifts to an imposing educational institution. Aicel contemplates her upcoming class on nihilism, pondering its focus as she navigates her academic schedule with determination. Despite her concerns, she reassures herself of the subject's reputation for being manageable, aiming to maintain her grades. In the classroom, a peer confesses to registering for nihilism under the impression of its simplicity, hinting at widespread interest among students. Realizing the potential challenge posed by increased competition, Aicel quietly assesses her academic situation. Resigned to the situation, Aicel resolves to excel in her other courses, acknowledging the challenge ahead. As class ends, conversations turn to everyday matters, with the topic of hunger arising among the departing students. Aicel contemplates her lunch options, deciding to make the decision once she reaches the cafeteria, staying pragmatic. With awareness of her financial constraints, Aicel is concerned about securing the scholarships she needs, aware of the crowding in her chosen subjects. Choosing between priorities, Aicel wonders if managing her hunger should come before other concerns. She evaluates her resources, deciding a modest meal of bread will suffice, taking stock of her limited meal tickets. As she navigates the corridors, Aicel notices a familiar figure, possibly recognizing the student Bak Yusil, sparking curiosity. Her observations are confirmed. It is indeed Bak Yusil, noted by his distinctive appearance, marking a moment of recognition. Aicel wonders why someone is present, questioning their intentions at this place and time. A lecture is taking place, bringing focus to the speaker, who seems engaged in educating. The class has few attendees, with students who apparently didn't perform well academically. The atmosphere hints at an uncertain future for this lesson. Aicel considers the possibility of the lecture being canceled, reflecting on the low attendance. She thinks about signing up for this class, believing it offers an opportunity to improve grades without excessive effort. Aicel plans to use the free time wisely, hoping to study other subjects and increase her chances for scholarship money. Beck muses over whether someone else knew that this subject was easy to excel in, pondering this thought deeply. Doubts arise about Beck's strategic planning to make academic life easier, raising questions about his motives and foresight. Aicel dismisses her thoughts as mere coincidence, resisting the idea that there's more to the situation than meets the eye. Beck seems aware of the common knowledge regarding the origin of magic, setting the scene for a deeper discussion among classmates. Later, the professor elaborates on how magic was spread worldwide by a founding mage known as the Mage in White, teaching diverse species its use. The mage imparted knowledge of nature glass magic to the elves, enriching their cultural magical history. Dwarves, on the other hand, learned the secrets of matter magic, adding to their mastery over physical elements. Layton continues, explaining that humans mastered elemental magic and hinting at the founding mage's celestial journey. Bake grapples with the daunting task of enduring school for 3 more years, unsure of how he'll manage. He reflects on the burden of schooling at his age, wishing he could bypass the experience like in a game. Despite these frustrations, Bake acknowledges the lecture's significance, seeing it as potentially key to understanding a greater truth. He tempers these thoughts with skepticism, accepting that his assumptions might not hold true. Bake questions whether Aicel had always been part of this class, pondering her presence quietly. He wonders about the absence of main characters in this class, which seems unusual to him. Ultimately, Beck decides that the class's composition is unimportant, focusing on what matters to him personally. Layton mentions that human curiosity extended beyond elemental magic, hinting at their thirst for more knowledge. He describes how mages sought magic from other species across the world, but failed to achieve complete satisfaction. The limitations faced by humans in learning additional magic are underscored despite their relentless pursuit. Mention is made of the founding mage who left behind 12 divine moons, marking the end of their influence. Layton queries the class, probing their knowledge of the 12 divine moons, inviting responses. Aicel, knowledgeable about the moons, shares that they were guardians maintaining power balance until a millennium ago. Layton affirms her account, emphasizing their protective role and specialized powers across the continent. He gives an example of one divine moon which symbolized summer and wielded undying red flames. The flames of this moon are legendary, known for their perpetual existence and intensity. The male character explains that entering the deep sea of Alamanca, one can still see the red flames, suggesting curiosity to those interested in observing it. A young male character questions whether the previous statement was intended as a joke. The instructor informs that any living being entering the domain of the king of the seas, Alamanca, would perish instantly. The whirlpool depicted is identified as Livian's coast, a great swirl in the ocean, frozen by the 12th moon of the blue winter. The teacher elaborates on the individual powers of the divine moons, hinting at a miracle if all are gathered together. A student inquires about the nature of the miracle discussed by the instructor. The instructor acknowledges the question but admits ignorance about the specifics of the miracle. Another character reflects on the divine moons having fallen asleep 1,000 years ago, pondering the truth of the statement. The male character recalls encountering some of the divine moons in a game, meaning 5 through special events. He credits his success to gathering information from the gaming community, noting that few players met as many as he did. The character speculates about the divine moon's connection to the true ending, asserting a theory about their importance. He contemplates why no one has achieved the true ending in the last decade, suspecting it involves unreached content. Reflecting on his efforts, he notes having met only 5 moons achieved after numerous risks. Despite being compelled to reach the true ending, he resolves to repeat his efforts. Bowen advises that strength alone is insufficient. She emphasizes that attacking without accuracy renders strength useless, introducing herself as Professor Hong Yil of the Fire class. A girl expresses regret for showing her mother an unsatisfactory performance again. She laments over the disappointment she feels her mother must have in her. A smiling female asks if the girl is okay, offering a caring gesture. The addressed girl, referred to as Princess, is confused by the compliment and seeks clarity. The red-haired girl admires the princess's magic, noting it was much stronger despite using the same technique. She continues praising the impressive nature of the magic, calling it super cool. Admitting she admired the princess from a young age, she acknowledges shared abilities as a fire-type mage. The girl wonders if the name Arshuang belongs to the red-haired character, speculating her familiarity with it. Proclaiming the emergence of a fire attribute genius, the red-haired girl stands amidst flames, demonstrating her power. The princess believes that despite Arshuang's abilities, they cannot compare to her own magic, reflecting on accuracy. The red-haired girl humbly admits she won't surpass the princess if the latter practices more, recognizing her potential. The princess dismisses the conversation as unproductive, deciding to end it abruptly. Yet she concedes feeling better after their talk, acknowledging the red-haired girl's words. Ye Taran, the exclusive guard of Hong Biden, calmly responds with a welcoming demeanor. A cup of tea and ginseng candy are offered on a delicately patterned plate with a thank you in response. A young woman discusses a staff or modeling commission that was requested previously, reflecting on the past conversation. She mentions that because of the high quality of the staff, it will lead to the crafting of a top-grade magic sword, and the other woman responds with interest. However, she notes something questionable about the situation, prompting the other woman to question what that might be. The concern is about staves continually sucking in the owner's mana, raising an issue about their nature. The young woman clarifies that while it sounds like a dark demonic tool, it's actually a little different, maintaining a constant resonance with nature's energy. The explanation includes the idea of taking the user's mana and letting it resonate with nature's mana, which surprises the other woman. The seated woman inquires why faulty staff still has middle-high class status, and the standing woman elaborates that it's exactly why it's classified that way. She further explains that the original ability would significantly boost the user's mana, making it high class, but it was reduced to middle-high class due to its drawbacks. She illustrates that it absorbs mana just by touch, impacting its classification, and the other woman expresses shock at the potential high-class ability. The standing woman questions how a student could wield such an artifact when even she is puzzled by it. She reasons that such a staff wasn't meant to resonate with the user initially, and most wouldn't wield it unless they had substantial mana or none at all. The seated woman expresses confusion about the situation, but reassures herself that the commoner will figure things out. The scene shifts to a window view, acknowledging the uniqueness of a particular individual. A classroom setting is established, with a caption indicating a period of few days after the semester's official start. The lesson highlights how attack magic requires detailed manipulation more than other types of magic, part of the class's focus. The professor stresses the necessity of the mana orbitology class as mandatory for mastering these skills. Azel Mulf is introduced, and from now on, the class will focus on orbitology for PvP battles with an emphasis on shooting and targeting concepts. The professor proposes discussing an orbital formula, implying a scenario involving a water-type magic calculation. A student grumbles about the focus on water attributes in the lesson and suspects that lacking a water attribute major would make the problem unsolvable. One student wonders whether the teacher is purposely trying to challenge them, finding the class dull and somewhat bothersome. Another student, seemingly overwhelmed, questions why the lessons are proving more difficult than other subjects, remarking on the demanding nature. Bak Yusil is called upon by the professor to stand and solve a problem, expressing a sense of being caught off guard. Shortly after, Bak Yusil approaches the board and completes the task, feeling quietly accomplished. His solution is acknowledged for its simplicity and clarity, praised for organizing a complex equation with ease. The professor inquires if Bak Yusil's primary focus is water attributes, to which he denies, adding a layer of surprise. The professor, satisfied, decides to continue with similar questions in the next class, turning his attention toward Azel Mulf. Azel Mulf, poised with curiosity, suggests that she has a question for the professor, raising intrigue. She appears contemplative with a question in mind, holding a book and projecting readiness to discuss further. Someone has realized something about Bak Yusil beyond his grades, recognizing his undeniable intelligence. The narration highlights someone's extraordinary abilities, mentioning their comparison even to the top rankers. A young male student confidently declares that he has finished the task, standing in front of a blackboard. The question posed was challenging, suggesting it was at least of university or professor level. A young female student questions the mystery surrounding Bak Yusil's identity, pondering about the gathering place for geniuses like Stella. The male student reflects on his earlier doubts but now believes that this person has a clear strategy for course registration. The female student, holding a book, is curious about what the next class for the male student might be. The male student wonders if she is interested in him, finding the thought gross, while the female insists it's more disturbing for her. The male student wonders what he is doing, feeling out of place for an adult, and asks why she's inquiring about his classes. The female student shares her research, noting that all the classes he's taking seem to give high grades easily, sparking her interest. She asks directly about where he learned this strategy, emphasizing her intent to know. He finds her curiosity important but plays it off as mere coincidence, having wondered about what she would ask. The male student decides to leave, assuming the conversation has ended, which surprises the female student. He turns back upon hearing her request to wait, looking somewhat surprised. She catches up to him, wanting to discuss further, and he wonders why she followed him, telling her to learn from others. The female student suggests following his method or doing what he's been doing as she looked up his classes. He discusses the advantage of taking Divine Moon Studies, mentioning its effect on maintaining high grades, but worries about its impact on her grades. The female student worries about losing her scholarship if she doesn't get top grades, showing her selflessness in thinking about others. The male student muses that despite being slightly annoying, she still seems like a main character, noting her persistence. The female student requests a course recommendation that is easy for grades, hope few, but he questions if her looks will influence his decision. She remarks that her face usually helps relieve stress, playfully questioning his reaction, which leaves him surprised. She laughs, revealing it was a joke, and mentions preparing compensation for his trouble, catching his interest. The male student wonders why compensation is common among kids, slightly annoyed by the practice's prevalence. She inquires if he knows about the ghost story of the Seventh Tower, which catches him by surprise. He admits to knowing the story, which surprises her as it's not widely known, indicating its significance. She explains the story involves an abandoned building that vanished, adding to its mysterious aura. Despite barriers preventing people from approaching where the tower once stood, there's still something there. She checks if he's all right, to which he replies that he feels like he's going insane, overwhelmed by the information. He acknowledges the magnitude of the information given, sensing its potential significance. It's revealed that Flame can significantly impact her relationship with the male protagonist if she utilizes this knowledge. Given that Flame knows implies that Azel was aware and should relay this crucial information to the male protagonist. The narrative begins with a reflection that highlights the distinction of someone who is not merely an extra character in their story, setting a reflective tone for the unfolding events. Maya is dismissive of a scary story, expressing disinterest, suggesting it lacks appeal for him as he moves on from the topic, leaving Azel holding her books quietly. The conversation continues, implying that even though the story might not be very scary, Maya questions Azel's fear of ghosts and nonchalantly offers to tell the story for free, albeit with little interest. Azel, surprised by Maya's change of mind, questions his willingness to now share the story, while Maya acknowledges that he's chosen to change his approach. Azel stands holding her book, contemplating the fact that May seems to genuinely want to offer her something worthwhile, prompting her attention. Maya explains that what he's about to share won't affect Azel's grades, but suggests its immense utility, introducing Meditation Journey into the Abyss as a liberal arts class option. Azel questions the idea of taking meditation as her liberal arts class, wondering if there's a focus on cultivation, to which May responds candidly, admitting his lack of interest. May reflects on how to articulate his point, recounting how meditation significantly enhanced magic power for someone from a bishop's position, hinting at potential growth. Acel, intrigued by this revelation, seeks confirmation that such progress was achieved simply through meditation, to which Ma affirms with a simple acknowledgement. The narrative reveals that this knowledge isn't widespread yet, emphasizing its critical importance for bishops engaged in large-scale destruction magic, underlining a key advantage. The focus shifts to the significance of meditation, crucial for accurate casting, derived from formulas and equations but ultimately dependent on mental control over mana. In a moment of candidness, May admits to selectively sharing this information because he finds Aizel cute despite having called her ugly earlier, leading to a gentle contradiction. Grateful but noting the lack of direct academic benefit, SL decides to enroll in the class, showing a willingness to embrace the opportunity presented, following whatever course feels right. Ma silently muses about the consequences of sharing this information, expressing concern over the potential impact his actions could have on future events and outcomes. The story takes a somber turn as Ma imagines the grim fate Aizel could face if left without intervention, stressing the importance of his decision to help. With hope, Ma considers the possibility that meditation might offer Aizel the means to alter her destiny positively, wishing for its success in aiding her. A sudden realization hits Ma as he acknowledges his own abilities as a mage, questioning why he never considered training before this point, sparking a moment of reflection. The scene shifts to an explanation of Bak's rigorous training in the game, where his diligence in physical and magical enhancement leads to immense growth. Ma contrasts the game's ease of gaining experience with reality, noting the quietness of late due to the absence of episodes or hunts, impacting his own progress. Despite the challenges, Ma feels a sense of gratitude towards Aizel for inspiring reflection and decision-making, attributing his current path to her influence. As May enters his dorm, he reflects on its considerable size, pondering the expansive space within, setting the stage for introspection in his surroundings. The narrative describes Stella's living arrangements, where all students reside in dorms, creating a structured communal environment for those studying there. The dormitory system, initially intended as a decorative feature, becomes a crucial refuge for Bake following the loss of his village, offering him solace and stability. Dorms are sorted by class with consistent room sizes but varying occupancy based on class status, providing a unique reflection on societal hierarchy within the school. Bake, seated on the floor, contemplates the isolation yet fulfillment of finally having a space to himself, embracing the opportunity for personal growth and introspection. Bake decides to begin his own journey, setting his mind to initiate meditation, focusing inward to harness his potential, as previously advised. He acknowledges that while stats hold significance, adapting to his body's present reality is imperative, emphasizing the need for balance in his holistic development. In the game world, Bake was renowned for manifesting a sword aura, showcasing an extraordinary melding of intellect and martial capability. His unique ability to channel mana consistently through and around him underlines his prowess, elevating his skills beyond conventional norms. The narrative concludes with Bake's unparalleled achievement in swordsmanship, marking him as the solitary individual to reach the summit of this discipline, echoing his exceptional journey. A young man is meditating, determined to walk down a path one more time, surrounded by a glowing aura. He focuses on his breathing, using it to guide the mana flow through his body, aiming to increase the mana intake gradually. Reflecting on training, he knows skills don't level up just by collecting experience. Consistent practice is essential for improvement. He experiences a familiar sensation, thinking it's the same one Bak Yusil must have felt. Noticing the signs of mana leakage syndrome, he feels its presence, though faint, as it becomes a part of him. His skills, mana leakage syndrome and blink, have both leveled up, marking progress in his journey. The young man recognizes that he is one step closer to his goal, feeling accomplished in his advancement. A girl walks amidst a grass field, noting how the magical scenery feels real despite its artificial creation. She explains the Stella Dome, a pocket dimension at the Academy campus, designed for various activities. This dimension allows the manipulation of space and features, providing flexibility for the Academy's purposes. It hosts diverse events, including sports and monster training, catering to the Academy's comprehensive curriculum. Among the students, she counts a total of 141 people observing the gathered crowd. Recalling the distribution, there are 50 from classes A1 and A2, with 41 from Class S. She expected Class S to have 40, including herself, surprised by an unexpected addition. Curiously, she questions Bak Yusil's origins, pondering his presence in the group. Referring to the novel, there were initially 1,140 students, and with her it's 1,141, showing Bak Yusil's original placement. Resolute, she intends to uncover the mysteries slowly, confident in her ability to do so. Acknowledging her unique perspective, she is the only one familiar with the novel's details in this world. As she walks, she anticipates the lesson will be starting soon, focused on the day's agenda. She addresses a boy named Jeremy, inquiring if he has completed the class registrations. Jeremy confirms their registration for soft magic research, mentioning her involvement. He cheerfully invites her to enjoy their time together, displaying enthusiasm. She recognizes him as Prince Jeremy, aware of his identity and status. In the novel, his obsession with Isol led to rejection, which eventually turned him into a villain. She observes his seemingly kind demeanor, suspecting that each action is calculated, and resolves to keep a distance. Despite his good looks, she understands why many people flatter him, acknowledging his influence. Jeremy's clique stands out in the school, noted for its prominence and impact on the environment. Determined, she reminds herself to stay focused, preparing for the future as this world becomes her reality. An instructor outlines the day's plan, starting with skill training to assess the students' capabilities. He asserts control over the training, cautioning the students to accept the direction without complaint. The professors remind the students that they have the authority to adjust their points, emphasizing that expulsion is a risk if their points fall too low. A man explains the upcoming training, mentioning it's a mock dungeon exercise that will include phenomena from real dungeons, as well as traps and monsters for testing. The training rules specify that defeating a risk level 1 monster earns 4 points, while defeating a risk level 2 monster earns 8 points. Holding a point stick, the man states that acquiring it grants 20 points, highlighting its value in the exercise. The top 5 students will receive rewards and shop privileges, but those with 0 points risk losing them, adding a competitive edge to the scenario. The girl is informed about the possibility of forming teams to avoid failure, with a reminder that points are shared among team members. An additional rule is that if a student manages to defeat another student, they acquire all of the defeated student's points. The instructions conclude with a simple wish of good luck, indicating that it's time for the exercise to begin. Suddenly, the ground beneath the students seems to be moving or changing, adding an unexpected twist to their footing. The students find themselves in a new environment resembling the Jack and the Beanstalk tale, introducing a sense of adventure. A girl realizes she should start her journey, holding a staff with determination to proceed. A female voice calls out to Flame, drawing her attention as she prepares to venture forth into the mystical landscape. Jackie expresses concern about Flame being alone during the practical training, showing a sense of camaraderie. Although teaming up is advantageous, Flame decides to go solo to maximize points, sharing her plan with Jackie. Jackie acknowledges Flame's decision, recognizing the point-sharing issue in teams, but wonders if there's a hint of sarcasm. Flame suggests teaming up next time, to which Jackie agrees, highlighting their mutual understanding. Jackie notices others seemingly mimicking her remarks about Flame going in alone, leaving her pondering if it's her imagination. Flame briskly walks away, considering it might just be a phase, brushing off any lingering doubts. An hour later, an intense moment unfolds, evidenced by a burst of energy splitting the air. Flame acknowledges her exhaustion and questions when the demanding practical training will conclude, frustrated yet persevering. Navigating the challenging terrain, she notes that the field itself poses attacks, commending Stella's realistic dungeon setup. So far, Flame has accumulated 18 points, recognizing the worth of a single-point stick to cover this shortfall. Despite fatigue, Flame resolves to keep moving, craving more action and determined to reach her goal. Suddenly, she senses a presence nearby, her instincts heightened as she tries to identify the nature of this feeling. The silhouette before her raises the question of whether it is a monster, intensifying the suspense. Realizing it's a person, Flame puzzles over how a student could conceal their presence so effectively. A moment of uncertainty passes, but she reassures herself, knowing she's also employing a stealth tactic called One with Nature. With her array of skills in binding, destruction, defense, and healing, Flame contemplates ambushing her opponent. Recognizing the familiar figure of Bak Yusil, Flame is taken aback, processing this unexpected encounter. Observing Bak Yusil moving alone, Flame wonders if he also prefers solitude in the training exercise as she continues her path. Someone recalls hearing that many students tried to form a Bak Yusil faction, but to their surprise, he rejected all of them. They express confusion, unsure of what he is thinking. A hand holds a point stick, indicating its significance. The observer is surprised, noting that someone has already obtained one. A girl holds the stick with determination, understanding this moment as the perfect chance for action. The male character decides he will test that man, signaling a forthcoming challenge. He calculates the distance between them, approximately 15 meters, considering that such a distance makes a defensive tactic unlikely. The girl launches a light bullet, showcasing a powerful magical attack. She questions how the male character managed to avoid a second-class spell at that distance, indicating his skill. The male character uses a move called Blink, skillfully dodging with speed and precision. Reflecting on his situation, he wonders if the girl is trying to kill him and acknowledges the surprise of the light bullet. He is thankful for the mana leakage syndrome increasing, thinking it saved him. With 2 blinks left, he considers using the terrain to his advantage or simply avoiding confrontation, recognizing the latter as the best choice. Feeling secure at a farther distance, he focuses on his goal of achieving 5th place, deciding it's not worth risking anything more. The reward for reaching 5th place is the ethelic roots, renowned for boosting health and strength. The top 4 spots are expected to be captured by main characters. In this state, they need just 3 more point sticks. A male character, surprised, acknowledges someone's presence with a remark to look who has appeared. Raiden from the S-Class recognizes Bak Yusil, confronting him with a bold statement about his identity. A group surrounds Bak Yusil, with Raiden repeating his name, emphasizing the encounter. Raiden is introduced as someone currently famous in school, suggesting his notoriety and influence. He's identified as a member of Uslik, linked to Jeremy's pushover clique, indicating group dynamics and alliances. Observing Bak Yusil, they notice he possesses 3-point sticks, a surprising development. A member of Raiden's group comments on Bak Yusil's unexpected collection of sticks, raising doubts about his integrity and past academic exploits. They express disbelief that Bak Yusil entered S-Class by solving some peculiar questions, remarking on Stella's decline and repeating familiar criticisms. Someone attempts to get Bak Yusil's attention, calling out his name, reflecting on the interaction's importance. Raiden insists Bak Yusil surrender his point stick, using their meeting as justification for the demand. Bak Yusil responds with defiance, stating his unwillingness, prompting Raiden to question whether he's resisting their wishes. Surrounded by group members, Raiden challenges Bak Yusil, questioning if he thinks he can confront them alone. Raiden taunts Bak Yusil about using an impressive staff, criticizing his lack of magical ability and urging him to decide his next action. Bak Yusil reflects on the difficulty of facing Raiden with a first-class blink, contemplating his chances if he had more blinks. Despite the challenge, he recognizes a potential advantage hidden within his situation, referred to as a variable he possesses. The key element Bak Yusil considers is the point stick he holds, implying a strategic leverage in his hand. Additionally, he acknowledges the tactical significance of their current location being a dungeon, foreshadowing possibilities. A young male student stands confidently, holding a wooden stick in his hand. He simply says "here" as he faces the lush green backdrop of the forest, marking a significant point or way forward. Another male student with a mischievous grin acknowledges the action with appreciation. He enthusiastically responds, expressing that this is exactly what he had been talking about, adding a sense of camaraderie to the scene. Suddenly, a sense of frustration and anger takes over the student with a mischievous grin. He clenches his fists, surrounded by an intense blue aura, while internally cursing at someone he refers to as a damned commoner bastard, indicating a deeper underlying conflict. The situation escalates as the student angrily exclaims, uttering profanities with a promise of retaliation. His expression and words reflect his vow to get back at someone, driven by intense emotions.